Hi, my name's Ria, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about a Bachelor of Science in Psychology at Queen's University Belfast. First, let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm from Penang, Malaysia, and I'm 20 years old. I'm doing my Bachelor of Science in Psychology at Queen's University Belfast, and I started in 2016. I'm in my final year now, and I'll be graduating next July. I did my A-levels at Tembe International School, Penang. And let's talk about why you should choose Queen's University Belfast and why you should study a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. Why should you study at Queen's University Belfast? First of all, it's a Russell Group university, which means it's one of the top 20 universities in the UK for research intensity. It's also one of the top 200 universities in the world. It's also the 9th oldest university in the UK, which means that there's so much history that has happened in Queen's. It's also been voted one of the most beautiful campuses, and I can tell you for a fact that that is definitely true. Another great thing, Belfast has the lowest cost of living for students in all of the UK, and 94% of Queen's graduates are in employment 6 months after graduating. And why should you be studying psychology? Well, first of all, it's a really interesting subject area, and it's so applicable to many other areas as well. The employability that you get from studying a psychology degree is really, really high. And also, once you graduate, you don't have to just go into the traditional psychology jobs. You can go into marketing, HR, you can go into research, you can go into data analytics. So you have so many different options. I've had many opportunities studying my Bachelor of Science here at Queen's. First of all, I'm an international ambassador, which means that I get to travel all around the world representing Queen's. I'm also a student guide at the Widening Participation Unit of the university, which means that I help bring in students from more disadvantaged areas to come into Queen's and see what studying at a world-class university could be like. I had an internship with Simon Community NI, which is a charity that aims to end homelessness in Northern Ireland. I'm also the International Buddy Scheme intern with the Students' Union, and I just completed my placement with International Student Support. I've had so many chances to travel around Northern Ireland, and as you can see from these pictures, Northern Ireland is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I've also had so many chances to travel all around the rest of Europe, which has been really fun, and it's been an opportunity I would not have had if I stayed at my home country. So let me tell you a little bit more about studying a Bachelor of Science in Psychology at Queen's. The structure of the course is quite simple. Your first year is worth 10% of your overall degree, second year is worth 30%, and third year is worth 60%. You have about 8 lectures a week depending on the year and depending on the modules that you've chosen, but you also have to remember that the grading system in the UK is very different. So when I got here and I got my first 68%, I was mortified. I was like, oh, I'm doing so badly, I can't believe I've worked so hard. But then I got told that 68% is actually a really good grade and that I should be really proud of myself. So that's just a little bit of a tip for when you come into university. So your first year is, again, 10% of your degree, and it's basically seen as kind of an adjustment period, settling into university and figuring out what exactly your study style is. You'll get 3 modules. The first one is an introduction to methods in psychology, where you learn a little bit about statistics and the historical concepts behind psychology. Your second module is using psychology in everyday life, and this is where you learn really cool things, because every week a lecturer comes in and presents their research to you. So you're learning about things that are really relevant and current. Like when we first started, in my first month in Queen's, I learned about serial killers, the psychology of tickling, criminal profiling, and so many other things through the course of the year. The third module that you get is a Foundations in Psychology module, where you cover the main areas of psychology, including cognitive psychology, social psychology, psychobiology, and developmental psychology. Your second year is worth a little bit more. It's 30%, and you again have 3 modules. The first 2 are Core Psych 1 and Core Psych 2. Within these modules, you have things like employability, psychobiology, individual differences, and all these core areas of psychology that the BPS requires to be taught to you for you to finish the course with an accredited degree. You also have a third module in psychological methods, where again you're learning more and more about the statistics behind psychology and how to run good experiments and conduct proper research. A really fun part of your second year is you get to do a group project with people in your tutorial group, so about 6 to 10 people. And mine was on Instagram and how advertisement on Instagram affects perceived trustworthiness and intentions to purchase products. Third year is 60% of your degree, which means that you have to really work hard to make sure that you're going to come out with the best grade you can possibly get. In third year, the exciting thing is you get to choose your modules. So there are so many modules to choose from. For example, there's a psychology of serial killers, psychopharmacology, applied animal behavior, nudges, intergroup relations, youth and political risk violence, sports psychology, and there's also a placement module. The placement module is really fun, and I'll tell you more about it later. In your you also get to write a thesis written between two or three people, and you get to conduct really relevant and current research with great supervisors. Another really cool thing that I've been doing this semester is the placement module. It's a really, really great module because it means that you get to get some work experience without having to take a full year out of your degree. It occurs within your first semester. You do about 15 to 20 days on the job, 7 hours per day, but that's also quite flexible. There are so many placement jobs that people have gone for. For example, I'm doing work with the International Student Support Department of the university, which means that I help students coming in, international students like yourself, coming in and who are maybe a bit insecure and needing some help. There are also people who go work with guide dogs, there are people who work with cancer awareness, and some people also just work in schools helping them develop assessments on how to test whether children are a bit behind in some of their learning and figure out ways to help them at the best that they can. So one of my friends has also gone on to do prison work, which is really, really interesting. In addition to the placement module, some people might feel that they'd really benefit from a full year of placement, and that's also an option because once you're enrolled onto your Bachelor of Science course, you can go on and enroll onto the 4-year degree, which means that between your second and third year of academics, you go out and do a placement for a full year. It's paid, which means that you also get to earn a little bit of money, and you're also getting a taste of what it means to work full-time because you have to work 37 hours per week and for at least 40 weeks. The other thing is you have to find your own placement, which means that you have the opportunity to do your placement anywhere in the world. Let's talk a little bit about how you're going to be taught and how you're going to be assessed. So there are very, very different teaching methods that the School of Psychology uses, and these include lecture styles where you're taught in a class about 100 to 150. You have seminars, which are much smaller, which is about 30 people. You have lab classes where you're working on how to, run statistics properly and evaluating experiments. And you also have your tutorials with your personal tutor, and that's conducted in about groups of 8 to 10, 15 people. There's also various forms of coursework that you'll be given. For example, there are online multiple choice questionnaires, there are lab reports, there are essays, and there's also a thesis that you'll complete in your third year. Sona Credit is a really cool thing that the School of Psychology offers. As a first-year student, you'll be participating in third-year master's and PhD students' experiments and research projects, and this is really cool because you get to learn what it feels like to be a participant, but you also get to ask your seniors what it's like to be conducting experiments and running research projects, which will really help you when it comes to the time where you have to run these projects on your own. There are also exams that you'll have to sit, and depending on the course and depending on the module, it's 40% to 100% exam-based. And now, let me share a couple of study tips with you for how to make the best out of your degree. First of all, make sure to look at all of your lecture slides beforehand. Your lecturers and professors will be sure to upload them the day before you actually have the lecture, which means that you have time to flip through them and kind of familiarize yourself with any new concepts. Go to all of your lectures, tutorials, and lab classes because even though they might not be taking attendance, it's really useful for you to be there, learning face-to-face with a lecturer in front of you and able to ask questions as they come. Make sure to record your lectures, especially if you're an auditory learner, because that means you can go back home and listen to them over again, and it's really useful sometimes to be hearing something once more just to get it into your head a little bit better. Make sure to ask questions to your lecturers and professors via email or Queen's Online. They'll let you know which one. But it's a really good way to clear up any doubts you have, and they'll be more than happy to share their information with you. Using study tools like flashcards are really, really useful because that means that you can fly through your revision really quickly and you just gain confidence in knowing that you actually are familiar with a lot of these concepts. Make sure to read your compulsory reading that the lecturers have set for you and skim through the extra recommended reading as well. Most of the time they're really, really interesting, so you'll probably want to anyway. Make sure to use the Student Guidance Center resources, especially the Learning and Development Center, because they'll be able to help you out with any English language worries that you might have, and they'll even be able to look over some of your work and tell you what could be improved and what's really, really good in it. Now let's talk about why Belfast is such a great place for a student to live. As you can see from these sites, Belfast has some beautiful spots. There's the City Hall, there's the Titanic Museum, and the Belfast Castle. There are also some beautiful pub areas and street art that tells such a great history about Belfast. And Belfast specifically is a university city, which means that there are loads of student discounts and student jobs. If you're looking for ways to save money or make money, this is a great thing to have. People here are super, super friendly and will always be willing to help you out and give you advice if you're feeling a little bit lost. It's very easy to travel from and to. There are 2 airports within Belfast, and there's an airport in Dublin, which is just a 2-hour bus ride away. There are also loads of Asian supermarkets around here, which is really great for when you're kind of missing some home food and you just want to go and cook yourself something from your home country. There are also loads of Asian restaurants around here, which again is really, really nice to have. And just Queens and Belfast is so, so international. You have people from all over the world here, and it's so nice to be making friends with people who come from all corners of the world, and you're making experiences and making friends with people from cultures that you were never even familiar with before. Belfast is also the cheapest student city in the UK. For example, my rent is £70 a week with an ensuite bathroom, and in London you would be paying a minimum of £190. My utilities are about £40 a month. I pay £13 for my Wi-Fi, £20 for electricity, and depending on the summer or winter time, £10 to £40 on gas. Groceries are about £25 a week, and you would spend between £20 to £25 on socializing. And in general, you might need £30 to £50 more a month, just for things like clothes or books or just a treat one day. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this has been really helpful in helping you decide why you should come to Queen's and study a Bachelor of Science in Psychology here.